So here is an overview of the project. We are 33 partners, around 10 countries, and we have 13 DIH in already in our network. Yet only 11 DIH belongs to the project. So due to these 11 DIH, we have 11 application experiments that I will talk in the next slides. Can you pass? Here is a timeline of our project. That is a project for 3 years. And in the first year, we have the beginning of our application experiences already started, and the first open call launch. In the next year, in the half of the year, we'll launch the second open call. The objective is different of this one, but you are invited to join it too, of course. Then we have all the 33 partners below of the pictures that we'll see later in the experiments. Tor, can you please again? Can you give me a minute? I have. This picture is to show that where this project is framed. So in 2016, the European Commission launched the first initiative related to the sector of the digital single market package, with the objective of digital transformation of the economy. And at this moment, we are in the, could say, last phase is the Pan-Europe DIH network, that where our project is located. So what we want to do is to create a Pan-Europe DIH network. Can you press? Can you click one?
Events, I can understand very well that at this moment they are not so feasible. So all communication tools that should.
Sorry. Thank you. So the relation to to increase the competitive in relation to their business products, production process products or service. So what our project intends to do is establish and empower a network of CPES, focus on DIH, create a system for the intelligent navigation in the network, create this network to support the CPES technology, and to sustain the network and leverage the impact of it. This sustainable network, it will be behind the project, and we are working at this moment in how to do this process. Can you please pass it? Okay, so here is some of our work that we already are already working. So we are working with ETB model to describe our DIH network and each of the DIH. We are doing a network mapping that this network mapping based in ontology will be used to be used in our user-friendly network navigation system to support the users, and not only the users, the provider and DIH to find other partners to cooperate with them. These will have different functions that we are defining at this moment, and for example, a point finder for CPS or ES related problems, or dating site for seeker or providers. So at this moment we are preparing our network navigation based in this DIH network. Please, Tor. So our initial network is counting already with 13 initial DIH that are spread around 10 countries. As I said, only 11 belongs to the project, but we started with 13, and it is a good start, and one of the objectives of these open calls is to increase this network with more DIH and providers. One click, please. Our idea is to another one, please. Is to have a network and bring all the DIH networks inside. Torsten, one more, please. Thank you. So this was a brief description of our project, and here are all the experiments that we have already in this network, each one from 9 countries with seven different sectors. As you can see, here are the names of it said that the description, but not the description, is the name of the experimentations, the hubs, where the hubs are located, the sectors. And the next slide will be describing only 3 experimentations during the time, just to show what we have at this moment and what we intend for you to bring to our projects. Can you pass one slide? Okay, our first experimentation is the CPES for safe and sustainable aquaculture farming. So what we are working in this. Turn you muted, please. Thank you. What we intend with this experimentation is to digitize the aquaculture, in this case in German. So at this moment, this experimentation is doing a research to identify possible sensors and data that can be retrieved, as you can see in the picture. And they want to monitor different situation in the aquaculture, the animal health, the bioflow density and quality. So the problem are being described and defined, so they can learn. The system can learn with this process and propose solutions or identify problems to the users. Then the second, the next experimentation is our second experimentation in the 11 of them. That is a complete clinical data with data from patient environment. This experimentation is involving lines, and this it is around the apnea with patients that have apnea, and the main idea of this experimentation is to support the home care of LIND system by giving more sensors to retrieve data around these apnea patients, and give a better and improved remote management to avoid visits and give a better support to these patients. So at this moment they are identifying new sensors and possible data that they retrieve from them. The next experimentation is the experimentation 9. That is a smart mobility using cyber-physical embedded system. This is located in Luxembourg City. And the main idea of this experimentation is to retrieve data around the city to retrieve air composition indicators. So they are locating several areas in or sectors in the city to see where they can collect this information, so they are able to modeling these emissions and retrieve a model of the mobility behavior inside the city. So this is the last experimentation that we will present today, but as you can see, we have all experimentation around the CPES and IoT relations with the patent system. And what we want to bring to our project is new ideas from you that we can bring new DIH and good ideas to us. So, Tor, can pass to you now.
Okay, thank you very much, Jose, for
Thank you, Tor.
your presentation. So now we're gonna go into the main theme of this webinar, which is the first open call of this project. And yeah, we will in total have 2 open calls, but today we're gonna focus on this first one. So just some basic details. It was launched in May, and it's open for proposals until the 31st of August at 5 o'clock. And it has a total budget of 1.8 million euros, and the goal is to add at least 10 experiments to the current portfolio of experiments. And so, okay, a bit about the objectives of this open call. One objective is to attract experiments that in some way will contribute to the economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic crisis. I will go into more detail on that later, but that's one of the main objectives about this open call. And also by adding experiments and DIHs, we aim to achieve a uniform European coverage of this. Also, another objective is to support the uptake of CPES technologies in a sector characterized by low levels of digitalization. It could be, for example, construction, agriculture. We have defined 4 technological topics for this open call. They are digital twins, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and dashboard controls. However, we are also open to application experiments related to any other technological field within CPES. Also, application experiments are not strictly limited to technological innovation related to these topics. It could, for example, be that an ME is developing a methodology related to artificial intelligence or so on. So that would also be welcome. So, okay, what's then the benefits for applicants? Why should you apply apart from funding? Well, you will become part the growing DIH4CPS network. So you will have possibility to form linkages with experts within this field. And also there will be a lot of collaboration and support from DIHs on several areas, all from developing business models, finding investors, or access to experimental facilities. There are a lot of benefits being part of this network. Okay, so we're going to go through a bit the eligibility criteria to make it clear. So applicants must be legal entities and established in countries eligible for participation in Horizon 2020 project. And each applying mini consortia should have at least 1 DIH and maximum 2 additional partners. So there is a maximum of 3 partners that could be involved in each applying consortia. Also, the DIH must be enrolled in the EC DIH Catalogue or present a plan to successfully enroll the DIH by the end of the application experiment. Also, the applicants need to be registered and have a participant identification code, and involved SMEs should sign a SME declaration. And well, obviously the topic of the experiment must cover cyber-physical embedded systems, and proposals should be submitted in English. Okay, so a bit about the funding for this experiment. Well, each proposal can request a maximum of 180.
Some of your slides are very can help the readers to understand what we are doing and attract the interest of the users to circular.
I'm sorry, but if you would if you wouldn't mind just waiting for the end of the presentation, it will really help the webinar a bit better.
The material that you use for the presentation can be useful for next newsletter.
Yes. We will have also a questions and answer session at the end. So any concerns or anything could be.
We're happy to answer or to take an account later on. Okay.
Strategy website. Because
sorry, if you don't mind, we will go on. Sorry, I'm sorry. If you don't mind, we will go on and you can answer later on because the can.
Issue to the macro strategy and the capital are strictly linked to the circular economy.
I'm sorry, we're not able to properly understand what you're saying. If you don't mind that we answer to you later on, it's very difficult to hear you.
To be spread even through our website because it could be a way to establish the relationship.
Tord, I'm sorry, we're going to unmute you, okay? Tord, go ahead and mute this person because we're not able to go ahead with the webinar.
I think I will go ahead because I also have some problem hearing, and I think it's more easy if we take like the discussion part after the whole presentation. So as I was saying, each proposal could request a maximum of 180,000 euro, and there is also like a maximum of 100,000 euro that each third party could receive, and this is for any initiative within Smart Anything Everywhere or I4MS initiative. So from all these initiatives, there is a maximum of 100,000 euro, which of course also is involved in this call. There is another criteria that is that each participant should represent at least 20% of the overall budget of the proposals, and proposals should allocate at least 80% of the overall funding to SMEs or mid-caps. Also, companies will receive 70% of funding for eligible costs, and non-profit organization could receive 100% funding for eligible costs. And 30% of the funding will be paid in the beginning of the application experiments, and the remaining 70% will be delivered upon finalizing the application experiments, and also the acceptance of the related reports to this. So, okay, let's go in a bit about cost calculation. As you can see on the screen now, there is a table of how you should calculate your costs. This is also included in the proposal template. And an important thing is that this should be done both for each individual organization and the consortium as a whole. So you see, you put direct personnel cost, other direct cost, which I will go into in a bit. Then you sum it up and you calculate indirect cost as 25% of the direct cost. And so what are examples of eligible costs? Well, personnel cost, then it could be software licenses, travel expenses, equipment costs, partnering costs to industrial experimental facilities could be examples of eligible costs, but these need to be clearly justified and realistic within every application. Okay, so we have a proposal template for applicants in this open call, which has the following disposition. We have a summary, then a part regarding technical excellence, industrial relevance, potential impact and exploitation plans, the COVID-19 recovery roadmap, work plan and budget, and the quality of the consortium. And all of these parts, except for the summary, have an evaluation criteria linked to them, which I will go more into detail now. So technical excellence. And it's also important to say that all these sub-criteria, as you see, they're all taken into account on each evaluation criteria. It's not just example of what might be taken into account. Rather, everything is being taken into account. So technical excellence deals with quality and soundness of the concept, novel concept and approaches, innovation capacity, implementation and usage of CPES, and new product of services. Industrial relevance, potential impact, and exploitation plans also come with a set of sub-criteria. So, for example, level of digitalization of the application sector being addressed, the usage of CPES in the sector, replication potential of the results in other SMEs in the same region or sector, potential impact of the application experiment, and the application in the long term in the sector, also the exploitation models and potential intellectual property rights issues should be addressed. Okay, so now we go into the COVID-19 recovery roadmap. As I said before, one of the main objectives of this open call is to contribute to the economic recovery from this crisis brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. So in the proposal template, you should state factors or needs affected by this current COVID-19 crisis in your region or sector, for example. You should do an analysis of the requirements to combat these situations and a motivation of how your CPES-based solution contributes to this recovery. You should also provide metrics on how to evaluate this. So this is an important part. Other evaluation criteria include a work plan and budget. As said before, the budget must be balanced, the cost must be justified and realistic, and the work plan should be appropriate. Also, the consortium needs to have adequate experience and expertise, and also what value could the applying consortium bring to the DIH4CPS network. That's also been taken into account. And if applicable, also a plan for enrollment of the DIH in the catalog, DIH Catalogue. All of these criteria will be graded from 0 to 5, with 5 being the best and 0 being the worst. So then we have some procedures regarding reporting during these application experiments. So we have decided to have as a minimum a midterm and a final report consisting of progress of the experiments, technical results including KPIs, dissemination and exploitation activities, and a cost statement. And but please have in mind that further reporting and more details regarding this will be agreed upon during the negotiation phase with each experiment. So, okay, now I will go a bit through the submission process, how it works on the submission platform. So when you click register, you have 2 options basically, to register as a proposer or register as an expert. And I will now go briefly through the process of registering as a proposer. So first you will be asked to fill in very basic information such as your name, phone, email, and so on. And when you click on submit, you will receive an email in order to confirm your account. Once you have confirmed your account, you will come to this screen that you see currently, and there you will have to provide your organization's VAT number, legal name, and you have to indicate which legal status you have, non-profit organization, SME, or so on. And once you have done that, you have created your account, and then when you go to this call, you can see down in the right, we have a green button indicating new proposal, and that's where you want to click to start the submission of a new proposal. then you will come to this following screen where basically you have to select the topics as we previously have talked about: digital twins, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, dashboard controls, or other. Once you have done that, you are in the process of submitting a proposal. And the most important thing I want to highlight here is on the left, you have a menu and there it says annexes. So if you go to the annexes tab, you will find the proposal template, which is a Word document. So you have to download that, fill it in, and then upload it as a PDF. And yeah, as I mentioned before, we also have a call for evaluators. So experts that have knowledge or experience with working with DIHs or SMEs in a similar situation are welcome to apply as evaluators in this open call. Sorry. And also expertise in areas related to cyber, physical, and embedded systems are highly valued, and preferably knowledge in the topics as we've discussed before would be of extra value. And if you have previous experience of evaluation of proposals, specifically within the framework of EU-funded projects, it will be of extra value. Selected evaluators will be required to sign a declaration of conflict of interest and confidentiality. And also this call for evaluators are open until the 31st of August. So the same day as the call for proposals. Well, and that was basically everything from this presentation. Now we will have, as you can see, we have set up calls at the DIH4CPS email where you can mail every question. And now we will have a question and answer session. So I think it's best that if you maybe to have some order, that you maybe could ask your questions in the chat, and then we can give you the time to speak.
And by the way, Tord, I've just been with some of the chat people are asking questions about frequently asked questions.
Okay.
A lot of that
I
stuff
haven't
is
seen the
already.
chat.
Yeah, if you can direct them to the calls page or show the calls page on the screen so that they can just see.
Yeah, 1 second just.
Okay, so one of the questions that we see now is, can a consortium of one DIH, one SME, and one RTO participate? As you know, Tord has gone through the different requirements that you have in the guide for applicants, and also some of them are also answered in the questions and answers. There's a limitation of 80% for SMEs in the budget, and at least a 20% each of the participants has to have in the full budget. So it's a matter of yourself making the numbers. I think it's quite clear, but still you need to go through those requirements, okay? There's another requirement for someone else who has asked if his SME DIH is suitable for the call. You need to take an account, there's a maximum of funding through open calls in all I4MS and SAE projects up to date. So if your project, if your hub was already funded in more than 100,000, then you would not be eligible for this call. I don't know if that answered the questions, but can two DIHs be included in the proposal? Same thing. As long as you manage to have an 80% of the budget for SMEs and 20% per each of the participants, then you're okay. So if you manage to have that with 2 hubs and an SME, then go ahead. Okay, questions are going very quick, so I don't understand the question said, can the application of the proposal intended for end user and not for industry innovation? I don't really understand what you mean by this. Okay, all criteriums, if I'm not mistaken, toward, you know this better than I, weight the same, okay? Or not?
Well, I think all criteria have the same weight, but then if in case it's two proposals have the same score, then the score of each criteria is not the same. So
okay, that's a different. Let's say once you have the final ranking, as also happens in the European proposal, there are some of the aspects of the scores that has some further priority, but on the score itself, they have the same weight. So the idea here is that our call is also part of the strategy from the Commission to help SMEs recover from all the COVID crisis and the COVID problems that they faced and they will face during the next years. So the idea is that if you're able to highlight how your experiment will be able to help those SMEs in whatever way the CPES experiment might do, then that is an aspect of high value for the Commission, because as you know, and in the next months, we'll all struggle with problems with COVID, and it's also a matter of being prepared for next rounds of COVID or other diseases as well. So someone's saying I'm not clear in answers. Okay, 20% minimum per person. I mean, it would be good that also you check the questions and answers, because some of those that you're going through have already been asked by other partners. So 20% minimum per participant, 2 at DIH being non-SMEs. Then, I don't know, I think we all have good, yeah, I mean, I think you're answering yourself. The question being stated here is you're not clear in answers. 20% minimum per participant, 2 hubs being non-SMEs will result in 20% of DIHs and 20%, sorry, DIH1, 20% DIH2, so 60% for SMEs. So the answer is then no. Yeah, unfortunately, if that is the case, the 2 DIHs are not, none of them lead by an SME, then you're not able to have the 80% for SMEs. No, the experiments are not needed to be cross-border, although they can be cross-border, okay? It's not a requirement. There's no minimum of number of countries involved in the consortium. Okay, I don't know, Gash, if you can help me out with any
Yes, yes. Well, that's why I was answering some of them online. But what you see on the screen is obviously the landing page. If you just scroll to the top, Tord. So when you go to the DIH website, you'll see a tab called Open Calls. This is where we're directing people. So all the questions that you are putting here, hopefully we will take them forward, and you'll see just on the right-hand side, if you scroll down, you see the Open Calls frequent questions. So if you can just click on that, Tord, you should hopefully find that quite a few of the questions that you're asking have also been answered in here. If they're not answered, we will put some of the answers in here. As Sylvia says, there's a specific email address, which is calls@DIH4CPS.eu. So if you have very specific questions, we can answer them. If they're very generic, of course, the answers will appear here. So I would encourage everybody to look in here, make any suggestions, because I noticed there's quite a few suggestions that were being posed, and that will help everybody, including us, to keep track of this area. So if you just go back to the Open Calls page again a second. So then one of the questions was also addressing specific calls issues. You notice on the left-hand side, there's the Open Calls webinar registration, and then below it is the Open Calls proposal. So if you just can click on that toward the Open Calls platform, this will now take you into all of the formal documents that you will see for the project. And you notice there's supporting documents. So please read through these, and these will help you find further information about the requirements, the makeup of the consortium, and so forth. Again, if you feel there is missing documentation, please email us and we will make sure that the information is presented. So we're hoping that we're going to catch most of the answers, but obviously with such a short period, it's better if there are very, very specific questions that you think are better discussed, then maybe you can unmute and ask those questions. Is that okay, Sylvia?
Sure. The idea was that since there are so many people that you could even, instead of making the question in the chat, just say, I want to make a question. We're not against having discussion. It's just that, you know, we're so many. So if 4 just unmute at the same time, we will have a bit of a chaos.
Yeah, I think in that case, yes. If you request a call, please just type in chat that you want to talk, and we can, and Sylvia can call people out.
So there's also a question I've seen around here. For example, is the logic of the call that the DIH should provide a possible solution and an SME be the beneficiary, or can also additional technology solution providers be involved? So additional SMEs or could be involved in the consortium. So it could be, for example, a hub and 2 SMEs, and one of the SME be the end user, so to say, and another SME be providing part of the technology with the hub. That's also a possibility. Again, you have to have this 80-20% with a minimum of 20 for each of you, but that can be an option.
Sylvia, I think there's a question there about the DH cannot be more than 20%, SMEs have a share of 80%. Could you just clarify that? Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, you're right. It's 20 a max. I mean, 20 and 80, 100%. So there's not much more than to do. Yeah.
And in terms, because I know a number of people have asked me from a research point of view, if there are DIH, or sorry, if there are people that could, not people, organizations that may be thinking about registering DIH, what's the procedure, or is that part of what they might ask in the frequent questions?
Okay, so as you know, and I've seen that, but I'm really sorry because the chat just scrolls and it's very difficult to go back to previous questions. So someone has already said, so are you referring to this? So yeah, there's a link, and I think it's even in our guidelines, there's a link to the GRC DIH guide. There you can see all the different hubs. So the aim is that you're registered there. Okay, we gave the option, if I'm not mistaken, to have also those that are planning to be inside the guide.
Again, maybe what we might do is put that in the frequently asked questions. We will put the link in there so you can check it.
It is, but sure, if maybe there's something tiny little detail that we didn't cover, we're happy to do that. Yeah. That entity should be the. We intend to have the DIH coordinator, but I don't think we have this very much fixed. Okay, so if you're asking this because we have the options, or we have the situations in which maybe the hub is coordinated by an entity, but most of the work to be performed in the open call experiment might be done by another partner within that hub, then it's up to you how you proceed. But of course, whoever represents the hub should be entitled by the hub. So it should not be done by an individual basis, because whoever comes to us, I mean, we're not able to discrete if if they have changed coordination in the hub or not, but we need to have sufficient information saying maybe even a card or letter of support saying that you are entitled by the coordinator to be representing the hub could be an option, but we need to have the information. So if you're not officially the coordinator, but you want to represent the hub in the project, you need to give us information on that. But of course, you have all that possibility when you describe your entity, when you describe the hub, your role, etc. So that's the place where you can do that as well. Yeah, you have to, I think there's an email there and some instructions. If you go into the website, you have a disclaimer when you get in. It gives you some small overview of what being in the catalog or the guide means, and it gives you some examples of some requirements like having previous I think like DIH services provided to SMEs, etc. But if you go into that link, you will have different options of hubs and also an email where you can write to become part of the.
So Sylvia or Todd, I mean, if you have that link available, if you could post it in chat, that'd be great. If it's available,
Yes,
otherwise we can post it. Yeah, great.
I will post
Thank
it.
you. And that way people can quickly check as well straight away.
This webinar, when we can see the registration on.
I think they probably mean the video of the webinar.
As I've said previously, but I know you probably were checking the slides and not the chat, so that was correct. We're going to send to all the registered people an email with the link to the material that we will upload, because we are going to have these recorded and we will upload it probably in YouTube. So you will have the opportunity to go back to it, and probably you will also upload the PDF of the presentation so you can check it back again. In any case, even if you, as Gus said, there's always that email address there where you can ask us as many questions as needed. And we will kindly ask you to check every time on the question and answers, because we update them weekly. So you will have the fresher answers there. The idea is that whatever we answer to any of you is later on also visible and available to everyone who wants to apply for the call.
And it is very likely that if we have any links, like Sylvia said, to any YouTube stuff, it'll all be on the open calls page. So keep an eye on the website and we will keep you informed as much as possible.
Okay, I see that Soki, I don't know if I'm saying your name correct, you're having some issues with the CV uploading. There's an email for calls, so get back to us in that email. You'll find it in the website. So send us your problems and we'll try to fix them so that you can upload it. Yeah, that email that Tor is now providing to you. So we'll check your individual situation and see why you're having this issue. Maybe it's, I don't know, too big, the file, have no idea what is the problem. So let's check it. Again, as Tor has said, we're also not only looking for experiments, but also for evaluators. So that's the CV requirement that we are asking to anyone who's willing to help us go ahead. Of course, if you are applying for the experiment, you have a conflict of interest. But otherwise, if for whatever reason, as someone has gone through here, has thought that that was in their hub was in another project, and unfortunately got over this 100,000 euros requirement from the Commission. So you can maybe even be part of our team by becoming one of the evaluators. So we're more than happy to have you with us. So technical competency as the main.
And again, from an evaluation point of view, if you look on the website link, there's a link for becoming an evaluator, so you can follow that link.
So, okay, someone worried about being paid. So we're paying also a day, 450, like the Commission is paying for evaluators. And there's, it all will depend on how many experiments we'll end up having. And as you know, and if you're an evaluator as well, you know how this works. So we're following the same fees as the Commission is following when contracting evaluators. What is? I saw something there quick. Is the limit of, okay, so the limit of 100,000 euros is applied to any entity. So it's not only hubs, it's also SMEs, or it's anyone who is applying. And it's covering I4MS and SAE, so Smart Anything Everywhere. Unfortunately, that's how it is. So we can't change that. It's not an option from our project, but that's the limit. I guess that if you already had 20,000, you're still able to do the 100. Someone else.
And just to clarify, sorry, just to clarify from Jose or from you, Sylvia, that the actual presentation that you've presented today, is that also available as well as the YouTube videos?
It will be available, yeah. We need to upload it. So once we have it fixed and everything is there for you to easily download and check, we'll send you an email. So the idea is that after today, we have the emails of all of you who registered to the webinar. So we'll send you back an email thanking for your attention and for your interest, and also giving you the opportunity to have further material on this. No, there's no problem on countries, so to say. And someone else also asked if there's a limitation or a problem. So how it works, we're having the idea of I mean, we're going through all the experiments, and geographical issues will be there also as to value. But it doesn't mean that you cannot apply if you're from Spain. It doesn't mean that if there's an experiment already, because we need to take into account different aspects such as technology, sector, well, all the aspects that Tor went through. And when this, I mean, when electing one or another experiment, if they have the same score of then geographical issues will be also taken into account. But it doesn't mean that if you're from Spain, you're not able to apply to be elected, let's say. Yeah, you're able to, our project is very diverse in the sense of the application and usage of CPS, not only on sectors, but also on the end user, let's say, implementation. So feel free to also, Jose has shown some of the experiments. If you go through the experiments that you can see in the Open Call website, you will see that the variety of experiments and sectors that we have is very high. And I think that should also help you and encourage you to have more, let's say, imaginative or out of the box experiments. So yeah, also the COVID part might be leading to some additional type of user experience related to CPS.
And then just to clarify that, obviously the whole point is to try to bring in any new technologies that is going to help build the economies across Europe. So quite often companies or businesses or organizations are looking for technologies, and they need that technology deployed. And this is where the link comes in. The DIHs are there to support those activities. We have IT type partners or technology partners who have got that technology, and then we're trying to apply it to the people who need that technology. And that's why we have those three connections between the different organizations. So we're looking to increase that technology impact into businesses and organizations. Of course, focused around CPS.
Okay. Okay, I think we're more or less done. I don't know if I'm missing any of the questions.
I think that last question has already been answered as well in terms of the 20% share and the 80% share. Again, I'd encourage anyone, and I'm sure Sylvie would say the same, is have a look at the frequently asked questions. A lot of these are already answered there.
Okay. Lucky people with a sunny face. Okay.
For the last one, Federico, what I'd suggest is have a look on the project website and look at the experiment section. We're going to add further experiment details on there and videos. Obviously, the project only started at the beginning of the year, and we're starting to push a lot of information. So have a look at those current experiments and see what they're doing, and see how you can then fit into that that sort of frame of mind.
Okay, so we can close. We're answering all emails, so don't have the fear of not getting answers. So if you thought that we didn't answer your question or not fully enough, get back to us through email, and please, in any case, as Gus said, check questions and answers because it might help you at least at some point. Okay, thank you very much, all of you. Thank you, well, Tord, Jose, Gus, all of you for the teamwork, and I hope it helped all of you to prepare a great proposal, and I hope you have all your experiments soon. Yeah, we're going to send the presentation. Yeah, no worries about that. Thank you, and see you soon.